Can't decide which class to main in Crystal of Atlan's global release? You're definitely not alone. With 11 unique classes, each offering completely different mechanics, skill rotations, and playstyles, picking the right one can feel overwhelming. That's why in this video, I'm breaking down every available class. How they play, how they perform in PvE and PvP, and how easy or technical they are to master. Whether you want something chill and beginner-friendly, or you're hunting for a high-skill main to flex in ranked PvP, this guide will help you figure it out. Let's jump into it. Meet the Magiblade, a master of magic-infused swordplay. This advanced melee class combines swift, fluid sword techniques with graceful, high-speed mobility. Gliding through enemies with unmatched finesse, the Magiblade delivers relentless combos and burst damage, overwhelming foes with both speed and precision. Magiblade's core mechanic revolves around stacking attack speed buffs. Every time you activate a skill, you gain a stack that increases your attack speed, up to a maximum of 10 stacks. To maintain this momentum, you'll want to chain skills together consistently and avoid downtime. Additionally, Magiblade features a unique passive called Flow of the Shadows, which is tied specifically to the skill Blinding Silhouette. Here's how it works. After casting Blinding Silhouette, each skill you use afterward has a chance to reset its cooldown, up to 3 times per cycle. With successful resets, you can potentially cast Blinding Silhouette up to 6 times in quick succession. A special sword icon bar appears on screen to help you track this mechanic. You fill this bar by using skills after using Blinding Silhouette initially. Once the bar is full, the cooldown reset effect becomes available again for another 3-skill cycle. It's highly recommended to build up and maintain your attack speed buff as much as possible. This becomes especially important once you reach level 45, when Magiblade unlocks his unique passive. This passive causes many of Magiblade's skills to scale based on attack speed. In other words, the faster your attack speed, the more hits your skills will deal. As your attack speed increases, certain abilities will trigger additional strikes, effectively multiplying your damage output. This mechanic introduces a skill ceiling. The better you manage your rotation and buffs, the more potential damage you can unleash. The Magiblade is a lightning-fast melee magic hybrid that thrives on agility, burst damage, and flashy, skillful play. In PvE, it excels at weaving fluid combos and chaining abilities in rapid succession, dashing between enemies with spell-infused strikes and sleek, acrobatic flair. With quick animations, seamless transitions, and powerful burst windows when buffs are active, it rewards players who enjoy aggressive, high-tempo gameplay and precision timing. In PvP, the Magiblade becomes a slippery duelist, using its high mobility and quick hitting skills to stay elusive while dishing out deadly bursts. It can outmaneuver most opponents with ease, and its skill reset mechanic keeps enemies guessing. When played well, it can overwhelm targets before they even get a chance to react. If you love fast, responsive combat and outplaying your foes through speed and mastery, Magiblade delivers one of the most exhilarating experiences in the game. While the Magiblade offers speed and style, it also demands a high level of precision and mechanical skill. Defensively, it's one of the squishier classes, meaning you can't afford to make many mistakes, especially in high-level PvE or PvP. Missing key skills or mistiming your combos can drastically cut your damage output. On top of that, the class relies on maintaining attack speed stacks, managing cooldown resets, and executing tight rotations to perform at its peak. It's a punishing high-risk, high-reward playstyle that's best suited for players with intermediate to advanced reflexes and game sense. If you're not sharp with positioning and timing, Magiblade can quickly fall apart. Next up, the Berserker is an advanced melee class driven by sheer strength and a thirst for intense, blood-pumping combat. Fueled by rage, he thrives in the heart of battle, unleashing devastating skills with raw power. While his attacks hit hard and can overwhelm enemies in seconds, many of his moves leave him exposed, making timing and aggression key. He's a true unstoppable force when his bursts connect, perfect for players who favor brutal offense and relentless pressure. The Berserker in Crystal of Atlan stays true to the classic brawler archetype: brutal, aggressive, and built for high-risk, high-reward gameplay. Traditionally in MMOs, Berserkers trade their HP for increased damage, becoming stronger the lower their health drops. But this version adds a unique twist. As you unleash skills, you sacrifice HP, but instead of simply losing health, it's converted into a shield. This shield acts as your effective health, absorbing damage while your actual HP remains low. Healing effects apply to the shield rather than your base HP, allowing you to maintain a low HP state to fully benefit from your passive damage boost, without being overly fragile. This clever mechanic lets you play on the edge, dishing out massive damage while still staying durable. The Berserker also comes equipped with a powerful cheat death mechanic, adding an extra layer of survivability. On a 2-minute cooldown, this passive ability automatically triggers when you take fatal damage, keeping you alive instead of going down. Not only does it save you from death, but it also grants a lifesteal buff, allowing you to quickly recover health through your attacks. This safety net makes the Berserker surprisingly durable and adds to its beginner-friendly appeal, giving you room for error while still maintaining aggressive, high-risk play. The Berserker is a powerhouse in both PvE and PvP, built for players who love relentless aggression and high-impact plays. In PvE, he dishes out massive melee damage by trading HP for raw offensive power. But thanks to his unique shield mechanic, he remains surprisingly tanky, allowing you to maintain low HP for bonus damage without being overly fragile. Add in a cheat death passive on a 2-minute cooldown and a lifesteal buff, and you've got a class that can survive mistakes and recover fast, perfect for sustained combat. In PvP, Berserker thrives in close-quarters skirmishes. His high burst damage and shield-based durability make him a serious threat to squishier opponents. That same cheat death mechanic becomes a clutch lifesaver in tight fights, letting him turn near-death situations into comebacks. If you enjoy brawling up close and keeping pressure high, Berserker offers both survivability and explosive potential in every encounter. While the Berserker is a powerhouse, he's not without his drawbacks. Many of his strongest abilities have long wind-ups or leave him vulnerable, especially if mistimed. In both PvE and PvP, this can open him up to burst damage or crowd control, particularly dangerous against ranged or highly mobile enemies. His entire playstyle revolves around managing low HP and relying on his shield and lifesteal to stay in the fight, which requires smart decision-making and constant aggression. His cheat death mechanic is helpful, but it's on a long cooldown and can't be counted on repeatedly. So while he's beginner-friendly when it comes to durability, mastering his full potential takes precision, timing, and discipline. Rushing or engaging fights without a plan, that's where Berserker gets punishing. Coming in hot. This dual-gun wielder brings deadly precision and relentless firepower to the fight. The bounty hunter is a lone predator on the battlefield. Swift, cunning, and relentless, she hunts her targets with calculated strikes, trapping them in a relentless hail of bullets before they have a chance to escape. The bounty hunter is clearly designed as one of the most mobile classes in Crystal of Atlan. Right from the start, it has a passive skill that boosts your movement speed each time you dodge. The more you dodge, the faster you become, stacking up to 5 times for a noticeable speed advantage. The bounty hunter doesn't just bring speed, she brings elemental firepower. With a skill on a short 12-second cooldown, she can infuse herself with any element currently in the game. Ice, fire, electric, or dark. And here's the cool part. It enhances all of her other skills too. That means every 12 seconds, she can adapt her element to fit the situation and unleash boosted elemental damage like a true tactical powerhouse. If you're someone who loves fast-paced, flashy combat but aren't into the close-range melee style of classes like Magiblade, the bounty hunter is made for you. And it gets even better. At level 45, she unlocks a passive that gives her a 7% damage boost every time she lands 20 hits, which perfectly complements her rapid-fire, high-mobility gameplay. This class is all about speed, style, and non-stop action. If that sounds like your vibe, you're gonna love her. Thanks to her barrage of multi-hit skills, keeping her passive damage buff active is a breeze, and it's crucial for maintaining top-tier DPS. It fits perfectly with her fast-paced, high-combo playstyle. What's great is that she's also super beginner-friendly. Her skills are straightforward, with no confusing gimmicks or complex setups. Just stay mobile, keep dishing out damage, and rack up those combos. If you want a class that's easy to pick up but still feels flashy and powerful, the Bounty Hunter is a fantastic choice. Let's break down what makes the Bounty Hunter shine in both PvE and PvP. First, she's built for speed. With shorter skill cooldowns than most classes, she's always dishing out damage. In PvE, that means consistent DPS with almost no downtime. Her aerial mobility is a big win too. She can stay in the air using basic attacks and aerial combos, letting her dodge ground-based attacks with ease, especially handy during boss fights. Defensively, she's got invincibility frames and super armor built into her dodges and dashes, giving her great survivability while staying aggressive. And as a ranged class, she naturally has the upper hand in many fights. You can deal damage from a distance, kite enemies in PvE, and zone out melee players in PvP. Add in her simple beginner-friendly kit and elemental flexibility, and you've got a fast, flashy, and deadly class that performs well in nearly every scenario. Now let's talk about the weaknesses of the Bounty Hunter, because for all her flash and speed, there are some key drawbacks to watch out for in both PvE and PvP. In the early game, her damage feels noticeably low. That's because many of her core damage skills and passives don't unlock until level 30 and beyond, so early progression might feel a bit underwhelming. She's also extremely squishy. With low defense and HP, her survivability drops fast if she ever gets caught. One misstep or mistimed dodge, and it could be game over, especially in PvP or high-end PvE content. Managing her buffs is crucial. Her elemental damage boost from Magic Cartridge is a huge part of her DPS, but if you forget to activate it, or pick the wrong element, you'll lose out on serious damage. The same goes for her movement speed passive. Failing to keep it active before engaging can leave you vulnerable and easy to lock down. In short, the Bounty Hunter demands sharp awareness and consistent buff management. If you're on point, she's deadly. But if you slip up, you'll get punished hard. And here comes the gunner, Atlan's walking artillery. Arcane-powered railguns, missile launchers on their back, and explosions that shake the battlefield. With enhanced reflexes and pinpoint aim, every shot is a work of destruction. Born in the rusted factories of the Undercity, this class is all about overwhelming firepower. Don't be fooled by the heavy weaponry. Gunner isn't just about brute force. She's a stance-based class with a unique heat gauge mechanic that fuels her firepower. As you unleash her skills, her heat gauge builds up, increasing her damage output. The hotter it gets, the more devastating her attacks become. But once it cools down, her burst potential drops. So mastering the cycle of building heat, unloading damage, and resetting is key to maximizing your impact. Gunner also features 3 distinct basic attack modes. Melee mode turns her basic attacks into close-range combos. Electromagnetic mode shifts her attacks to mid-range pokes. And Bombard mode unleashes long-range explosive shots. These stances are triggered by specific skills, while others won't change her current mode. So it's important to stay aware of which stance you'll end up in after each ability. Accidentally landing in melee mode when you need to fight from a distance can leave you vulnerable or disrupt your rhythm. What makes her even more fun is how fluid she feels in motion. While she may seem heavy at first, many of her skills are fast and responsive, and you can even cancel or speed them up by jumping, making her gameplay far more dynamic than you'd expect. If you love managing resources, adapting to the flow of battle, and delivering explosive, high-damage bursts, the Gunner is built for you. She's all about precision, timing, and overwhelming firepower at any range. At level 45, the Gunner unlocks a game-changing passive that adds a whole new layer to her heat gauge system. Each level of heat now directly increases her damage output, making it even more important to manage it efficiently during combat. Mastering this mechanic is key. Knowing when to build heat and when to unleash your strongest skills is what separates a good Gunner from a great one. It's a balancing act, but once you nail it, the payoff is massive burst potential and sustained pressure in both PvE and PvP. Sure, she might have a few slower or stationary skills, but what she lacks in speed, she makes up for in raw, overwhelming firepower. Whether she's raining down explosives from afar or switching into close quarters mode with melee combos, the Gunner thrives on adapting to the situation and controlling the battlefield. The Gunner comes also with her fair share of challenges. While her burst damage can be massive, it's tied directly to her heat gauge system, which requires active management. If your heat drops at the wrong time or you misalign cooldowns, your damage output can fall off fast. Maintaining that optimal heat zone is crucial. Mistime it, and you'll feel the drop in pressure both in PvE boss fights and PvP duels. Adding to the complexity, the gunner's basic attack style switches based on certain skills, between melee mode, electromagnetic mode, and bombard mode. Some abilities won't change your current stance, so it's easy to find yourself stuck in the wrong mode at a critical moment. Like being in close-range melee mode when you need long-range poke. That can quickly get you punished in PvP or overwhelmed in PvE. A mistimed dodge or standing still for too long with one of her more stationary skills can be fatal. Despite her ranged edge, she's vulnerable when focused and lacks strong defensive tools outside of dodges and spacing. In short, Gunner isn't a plug-and-play class. She demands awareness, timing, and resource management to bring out her full potential. If you drop the ball, whether it's your stance, heat, or positioning, she can feel punishing to play. But if you thrive on that challenge, she rewards it with explosive, battlefield-dominating performance. Step into the arcane, witness the raw, ancient magic channeled by the Elementalist. Elegant, composed, and devastatingly precise, he bends the elemental forces to his will, commanding fire, ice, and lightning with pinpoint accuracy. Designed for long to mid-range combat, every spell strikes from a safe distance, making him a master of control and destruction. The Elementalist revolves around generating and managing Thunder Core spheres, a unique mechanic that enhances both damage and cooldown reduction. These spheres are created through various skills and become especially powerful once you unlock the passive Thunder Core drive at level 45. With this passive, the more Thunder Core spheres you have orbiting around you, the faster all your abilities will recharge. One of the Elementalist's core skills, Lord of Thunder, instantly grants you the maximum number of Thunder Core spheres, significantly reducing cooldowns across the board. When paired with fast casting abilities like Icy Thrust and Vortex, this allows you to chain multiple spells in rapid succession, often locking down your enemy before they even have a chance to respond. Most of the Elementalist's toolkit features large area AoE attacks and low cooldown skills, making the class ideal for spamming powerful combos from a safe distance. With the right rotation, you can continuously pressure enemies while effortlessly dodging incoming attacks. It's a high-impact, low-effort playstyle that rewards aggressive casting and smart positioning. The Elementalist excels in both PvE and PvP thanks to his large-area AoE skills and exceptional range. Even his basic attacks can hit from a long distance. He also has access to a barrier skill that absorbs incoming attacks, giving him valuable survivability in intense fights. His gameplay is straightforward and beginner-friendly. Use abilities regularly to not only deal damage but also trigger passive effects that boost your damage output. One of his key strengths lies in cooldown reduction, allowing him to cast spells more frequently than most other classes. A standout combo is the synergy between his active and passive skills, which can grant up to 50% cooldown reduction along with a damage buff. This creates the perfect window to unleash your finisher skill for maximum burst damage, making him especially deadly when timed correctly. Like most ranged classes, the Elementalist has low defense and can be easily punished if caught off guard. His limited mobility makes it difficult to escape tight situations, especially in PvP where repositioning and reaction time are crucial. A major part of his damage output depends on correctly using Lord of Thunder, which maximizes Thunder Core spheres and reduces cooldowns. Failing to activate this skill at the right moment can drastically reduce your overall damage, so proper timing is essential. Additionally, playing too aggressively, spamming skills and rushing into fights, can leave you exposed. Without strong defensive options or a quick escape, reckless play can quickly turn into a major disadvantage, especially against fast or burst-heavy opponents. For those who want a high-pressure DPS under the same Magister class, the Warlock is an aggressive mid-range mage who delivers pure chaos and trades safety for power. He thrives on getting close to enemies, unleashing relentless combos of dark magic that apply heavy pressure and debuffs over time. This class is all about chaos and control, sacrificing defense for sustained offense. With high burst potential and damage over time skills, Warlocks are perfect for players who like calculated risk and overwhelming force. Mad, methodical, and merciless. If it works, the Warlock will use it, no matter the cost. The Warlock is a mid-range DPS caster under the Magister class who excels at sustained pressure and calculated bursts. His core mechanic revolves around stacking dark marks on enemies with each attack or skill. Once he reaches 5 stacks, he can detonate them with an active ability, dealing massive AoE explosion damage, scaling higher with more stacks. Detonating marks not only deals high burst damage but also applies the exhausted debuff, slowing enemy movement and setting them up perfectly for devastating chain combos. Unlike traditional mages who stay back, the Warlock thrives just behind the front lines, close enough to flood the battlefield with shadow-infused abilities and keep enemies constantly pressured. His skill set includes AoE attacks and movement-disrupting abilities that let him reposition enemies, control space, and maximize damage potential. This is a high-risk, high-reward playstyle focused on aggression, combos, and smart timing. Ideal for players who enjoy relentless offense and manipulating the flow of battle with dark precision. In PvE, Warlock shines with fast and reliable mark stacking, making it easy to trigger his high-damage explosions consistently. Most of his skills are uninterruptible, allowing him to maintain pressure even in chaotic fights or boss encounters. On top of that, he has both active and passive abilities that leech health from enemies, giving him strong sustain during longer battles. In PvP, the Warlock becomes a true threat once he gains momentum. His ability to stack marks quickly and detonate them for massive burst damage makes him deadly in one-on-one duels and team fights alike. At level 45, he gains a powerful passive that boosts his damage by up to 25% after using specific skills, giving him a huge edge during critical combos. With constant pressure, burst potential, and slowing debuffs, the Warlock is a menace to anyone who gets too close. While the Warlock becomes powerful in the late game, his early level damage can feel underwhelming. He's heavily reliant on stacking marks and detonating them efficiently, so without proper execution, his impact drops significantly. In PvP, his aggressive playstyle forces him to get dangerously close to enemies. If his movement is mistimed or miscalculated, he can get caught easily and punished hard. While he does have some survivability tools, they come with long cooldowns, and his lifesteal isn't always enough to keep him in the fight if things go wrong. Managing his cooldowns is crucial, especially his health leech and detonation skills. If these aren't used effectively, the Warlock quickly finds himself vulnerable. And while some of his skills are uninterruptible in PvE, that advantage doesn't carry over well to PvP, where control effects and burst damage can shut him down. The Warlock demands precise timing, good positioning, and constant pressure. Without those, his frenzied high-risk style can easily fail. The stage is set, the spell begins. And witness the advanced Magister showman, the Magician. Always the center of attention, he thrives on dazzling his enemies with illusions, deception, and flair. But don't be fooled by the glitter, laughter, or playful tricks. Behind the spectacle lies real danger. Unlike street-level scammers, the Magician's illusions blur the line between reality and chaos, leaving opponents disoriented and wide open. He might look like he's putting on a show, but every laugh hides a lethal spell. For him, it's all fun and games. For his enemies, pure torment. The Magician's combat revolves around a unique deck of cards that directly influences his skill rotation and overall performance in battle. At any given time, he holds a hand of 7 cards, visible at the bottom of the screen. This deck combination changes as he casts specific active skills. These cards aren't just for show. Each suit grants a distinct buff. Clubs boost damage and cooldown speed, diamonds reduce cooldowns on key skills, hearts enhance skill power, and spades act as powerful finishing cards. By choosing which skills to cast and when, Magician players can cycle through unwanted cards and line up devastating combinations. It's not just about flashy spells, it's about playing the right card at the right time. With all 7 slots in play, mastering this card system rewards strategy, timing, and precision, giving skilled players full control over their flow of battle and burst potential. The Magician brings a unique, flashy combat style built around deception, crowd control, and strategic misdirection. His basic attacks passively grant up to a 16% damage buff that lasts for 60 seconds, perfect for maintaining pressure throughout a fight. In PvE, His illusion-based toolkit shines by keeping enemies distracted and disoriented, allowing him to safely dish out high-ranged damage while staying mobile. His abilities make it easy to reposition, avoid danger, and set up powerful combos without drawing too much aggro. In PvP, the magician truly becomes unpredictable. With skills like Body Double, he can summon a doppelganger to confuse opponents, redirect aggro, or even bait out enemy skills. While the clone is active, he enters stealth, giving him the perfect opportunity to reposition, or strike by surprise. With taunts, trickery, and burst potential, the magician is perfect for players who enjoy outsmarting their opponents, staying elusive, and turning confusion into an advantage. While the magician excels at deception and crowd control, he comes with noticeable drawbacks that require careful play to overcome. In PvE, his damage potential relies heavily on card rotation and proper setup. Without the right card combinations, his output can feel inconsistent. He also lacks strong defensive tools, making him vulnerable if caught off guard or surrounded, especially during long boss fights where mobility is limited. In PvP, his survival depends on constant movement and trickery. If his illusion or stealth-based skills are mistimed, he's easily exposed and can be eliminated quickly. His Body Double can be powerful, but skilled opponents may learn to predict or ignore it, reducing its impact. Overall, the magician is a high-skill class that demands smart positioning, good timing, and constant awareness. Without those, even his best tricks won't save him. Don't be fooled by her youthful appearance. This advanced puppeteer class possesses a calm maturity far beyond her years. Bound in perfect harmony with her powerful marionette, the Scytheguard forms an unbreakable duo, combining defense, support, and deadly precision. With enhanced defensive abilities and the power to heal and shield allies, she brings unmatched utility to any team. But she's no passive support. Her scythe and puppet can unleash devastating attacks when needed, making her a valued asset in both solo and group battles. The Scytheguard shines in controlling the battlefield, excelling at pulling enemies together and unleashing powerful AoE combos to wipe them out. Her skills hit hard and often strike in a circular area, but because some of her attacks have tighter hitboxes, precision matters. Missing can easily break your combo and leave you exposed. Central to her gameplay is a unique resource system called moon marks. As she casts skills, she builds either new moon marks or full moon marks, depending on the ability used. Once her passive ability is unlocked, collecting 3 of the same mark will automatically consume them, empowering her next basic attack. New moon marks increase her damage, while full moon marks trigger a healing effect. If both types are stacked and consumed together, she gains an additional 5% damage bonus on top of the healing. Mastering the timing and management of moon marks is key to unlocking her full potential, allowing skilled Scytheguard players to dominate fights while supporting their team with both utility and raw power. The Scytheguard stands out as the only class in the game that can actively and passively heal both herself and her allies, while also providing protective shields, making her a vital support in any party. But don't let the healer role fool you. She's also capable of unleashing powerful burst attacks by consuming her moon marks, turning defense into offense in a heartbeat. She can draw enemy aggro and tank when needed, holding the front line while dishing out consistent damage. Thanks to the synergy between puppeteer and marionette, she can disengage strategically when overwhelmed. Some of her skills can be executed from a distance, allowing her to cast, dash out of danger, and let the marionette finish the job, perfect for chasing down evasive enemies or avoiding incoming threats in both PvE and PvP. Her moon mark system is also easy to build up, as attacking with ability skills naturally stacks them, ensuring she's always ready to heal, strike, or sustain herself in battle. While the Scytheguard brings incredible versatility to any team, she comes with clear limitations. Her healing, shielding, and damage output all rely on managing moon marks effectively. If you mismanage them or mistime your skills, her sustain potential drops fast, putting both you and your allies at risk. In PvE, she's not a dedicated DPS class. Her raw damage output is noticeably lower compared to pure damage dealers, and you'll often find yourself lagging behind in burst phases or timed challenges. And because many of her skills have tighter hitboxes, missing an enemy can interrupt your rotation and waste crucial cooldowns. In PvP, her survivability depends heavily on movement and precision. If she's caught in a chain combo or launched into the air, she's in real trouble. Because while airborne, her marionette becomes inactive, meaning no skills, no healing, and no counterplay. One wrong move, and you'll be punished hard. For players who struggle with positioning or keeping track of their surroundings during fights, the Scytheguard can quickly become more of a burden than a benefit. The Blademaiden is a cold and calculated force on the battlefield, commanding her marionette with precision and deadly intent. Unlike other puppeteer classes, her partner doesn't just support, it strikes. With permission to break away from its master, the marionette dives into enemy lines, carving wide paths of destruction with twin blades. Specializing in battlefield control, the Blademaiden thrives on setting up traps and zones of consistent damage. By manipulating enemy positions, and even relocating her puppet, she creates the perfect setup for devastating combo attacks. Once the trap is sprung, enemies are torn apart by a flurry of coordinated strikes and lingering damage over time effects. The Blademaiden is the most hands-on puppeteer in Crystal of Atlan, offering a deeper, more active connection with her marionette than any other class. Unlike the Scytheguard, she doesn't just rely on the puppet for support. She fights in perfect sync with it. Many of her key abilities are designed to trigger coordinated strikes, where both the Blademaiden and her marionette unleash the same, or very similar, skills at once. This mirror-like combat style opens the door for explosive burst combos. With clever positioning and timing, you can sandwich enemies between both blades, dealing devastating damage in rapid succession. It's like hitting your target twice with every move. Double the blades, double the pain, if you execute it just right. Mastering this class means mastering control. The Blademaiden brings more than just finesse. She brings firepower. Her passive skills eliminate delay time between her and her marionette, letting both strike in perfect harmony. This synergy leads to rapid, optimized burst damage that can overwhelm enemies before they even react. In both PvE and PvP, she excels when landing high damage skills while synchronizing them with her puppet's own attacks. Properly timed, it's like unleashing two ultimates at once. Deadly in PvP, her strength shines through precise positioning. When her marionette is placed correctly, enemies get caught between her and the marionette, making it hard for them to get away. And when the tables turn, that same marionette becomes her lifeline, capable of helping her escape tight corners or chase down elusive targets. Whether you're clearing mobs or outplaying opponents, the Blademaiden's control and burst potential make her a dangerous and versatile pick. The Blademaiden might be deadly in the right hands, but mastering her takes time and precision. One of her biggest drawbacks lies in the positioning of her marionette. Misplacing it can waste key abilities and leave you stuck waiting on long cooldowns, which in fast-paced fights can cost you everything. To maximize her combo potential, players must constantly track both the Blademaiden and her puppet's position, which requires battlefield awareness and quick thinking. She's also a bit squishy. Her low HP makes her vulnerable if caught off guard, especially when enemies break through her setup. And here's a major weakness. If the Blademaiden is launched into the air and juggled in an enemy's combo, her marionette becomes useless. It can't reposition, can't assist, and can't perform aerial attacks, leaving you wide open and on your own. In short, while her damage potential is high, the margin for error is tight. One wrong move, and the fight might slip right through your fingers. Harnessing her inner chi, the Cloudstrider channels the fierce power of the tiger and the graceful precision of the crane. With swift, unpredictable strikes, she turns the battlefield into a dance of controlled chaos. This melee fighter thrives on mobility, darting around enemies, unleashing devastating AoE attacks, and disrupting foes before they even know what hit them. The Cloudstrider doesn't just face danger head-on, she flows through it, leaving destruction in her wake. The Cloudstrider is a mobile melee class that masterfully channels the elements of nature, water, and fire, each tied to a unique fighting stance. Her core mechanic revolves around switching between stances using the chi meter, which charges during combat and is consumed with each ability use. She begins in her neutral nature stance, but can shift into two powerful modes. The crane stance, enhancing mobility and water-based attacks ideal for grouping and chasing enemies, and the tiger stance, unleashing fire-infused strikes with high damage multipliers. Each stance completely changes her skill set, giving her unpredictable combat versatility in both PvE and PvP. But timing is everything. Players must manage their chi and carefully decide when to switch stances to maximize effectiveness in the heat of battle. In both PvE and PvP, the Cloudstrider thrives with a flexible, ever-shifting combat style. Her entire skill set changes depending on the stance she's in, making her unpredictable and incredibly hard to read. One skill can look and behave completely differently across stances, keeping opponents guessing every step of the way. Her stance switching isn't just for flair, it's strategic. Each switch grants a 20% damage boost on your first two skills and can even apply powerful buffs to yourself or your team. That's not just versatility, it's battlefield control. She's mobile, melee to mid-range, and capable of dishing out serious burst damage while staying on the move, a massive edge over more static melee classes. Whether you're clearing dungeon bosses solo or weaving through PvP brawls, the Cloudstrider's adaptive style lets her dominate any environment. Despite her flashy style and high mobility, the Cloudstrider comes with a unique set of limitations that can make or break her performance in both PvE and PvP. First off, she effectively has only 7 active combat skills, since one slot is permanently dedicated to her stance switching ability. That means less direct offensive utility compared to other classes that get to run a full set of 8 damaging or utility skills. On top of that, many of her core abilities have longer cooldowns, making her rotations feel sluggish if not managed properly. Mistiming a stance switch or wasting a skill early can leave you exposed or reduce your DPS window significantly. Her crane stance, while great for mobility and crowd control, lacks the raw damage that Tiger stance offers. So if you're not constantly rotating stances at the right time, you're likely missing out on essential burst potential. And that's the key issue. Cloudstrider demands precision. Failing to line up your buffs, optimize the 20% damage bonus after switching, or keeping your chi meter filled means your damage output drops fast. Without mastery of her kit, she can feel underwhelming in both solo PvE content and competitive PvP. Inexperienced players may struggle to maintain consistent pressure or deal with her skill cooldown gaps, especially under high-pressure scenarios where every second counts. Following in the footsteps of its base class, the heavy-hitting Starbreaker doesn't dodge, she charges. When things get messy, she gets mean, shaking the ground and punching through anything in her way. She's the brute force answer to finesse, amplifying her core for massive, explosive damage. Her fists do all the talking, no tricks, no hesitation. Just raw, relentless power. When the Starbreaker hits, nothing gets back up. The Starbreaker's entire playstyle revolves around one thing: core engine mastery. Every time she lands a hit with her skills, she generates energy gauges, and with enough of them, she activates core lamps, the heart of her explosive potential. It takes 2 energy gauges to light one core lamp. And once they're active, her next skills consume those lamps to trigger core amplification, a passive effect that massively boosts her performance. Depending on the skill used, core amplification can deal up to 60% increased damage, unleash extra hits, or even apply armor break, tearing through enemy defenses. She also brings fire to the front line, literally. One of her active skills applies the Flamebound debuff, dealing bonus fire damage and inflicting Scorch, a burn effect that continues damaging enemies for 5 seconds. To play Starbreaker right, it's all about managing your gauges, maximizing core lamps, and timing your explosive attacks for devastating results. Whether you're grinding dungeons or climbing the PvP ladder, the Starbreaker stands out for her mix of brute force and battlefield control. She's built to survive. Many of her attacks generate shields, giving her serious staying power in prolonged fights. She doesn't just hit hard, she locks you down. With built-in parry and grab skills, escaping her grip mid-combat is nearly impossible. And for a melee class, that's huge. Her mobility isn't flashy, it's efficient. Several of her abilities let her dash straight to the enemy, closing gaps instantly and keeping up the pressure. Add in armor break effects on key skills, and she's not just closing distance, she's shredding defenses too. Best of all, her core mechanics are among the easiest to learn in the game, making her a top pick for players who want to jump in and dominate. No surprise she's a common sight in high-tier PvP ranked matches. While the Starbreaker brings heavy punches and explosive combos, she's not without drawbacks, and if you're not careful, they can hit just as hard as her enemies. Her hardest hitting skills come with long charge times and lengthy cooldowns. That means if you mistime them, like missing a moving boss or failing to hit your target in PvP, you're not just losing damage, you're losing momentum. One missed skill can lead to a massive DPS loss, especially if it costs a core amplification trigger. Positioning is also key. As a pure melee class, her abilities are very short-ranged. If you're not close enough when you unleash those big finishers, they'll go to waste, and so will your core lamps and energy gauges. To make the most out of her kit, you need to manage resources wisely, time your core amplification, and land flamebound triggers at the right moment. She may have one of the simpler mechanics in the game, but her execution still demands precision. So there you have it, a full breakdown of all 11 classes in Crystal of Atlan. Some are super beginner-friendly, while others take precise timing, skill combos, and a bit of practice to really shine. But the best part, there's no wrong choice. It all comes down to how you like to play. So, which class are you leaning toward? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your pick. And if this video helped you even a little, drop a like, and hit that subscribe button. I've got more Crystal of Atlan content on the way. Thanks for hanging out, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.